Alright, before the video begins, ahead of time, I just want to say I take no claim and ownership of any of the clips you are about to see in this video. I simply use them for entertainment and educational purposes only. Warning, I talk about what happens in the show, so spoiler alert. Alright, enough talk, let's get into the video. Alright guys, let's talk about The Walking Dead. So, as you know, it stars Andrew Lincoln playing Rick Grimes, which is the main character of the show. Hang on a second, my freaking... Alright. So what I don't understand about the whole survival situation is why is everybody, like every human, wanting to kill each other? Like, why can't they, like, team up and all survive together, you know? And it's just something I don't understand. But at the beginning, it does show that what was his name, Shane, which was Rick's best friend from the police force. They were riding in a car, you know, right before the virus broke out. They were riding in their dispatch vehicle talking, and they went to go investigate this one guy, and he was I can't remember, but I believe that they were chasing down this one guy, and then he saw their vehicle on the road, and then they pulled over. The dude pulled out a gun, shot Rick. He passed out from shock. Shane took him to the hospital, and he was in a coma for a while. And then that's when the virus outbroke, or however you say it. So he really didn't want to leave Rick behind, but the thing is, Shane was in love with Rick's wife. So he left him. He left him in there, in his coma. He left him in the hospital bed, because there were people freaking out in the hallway, and there were, I don't know, I guess there were zombies in the building or something. So Shane ended up leaving him in there. He locked the door, or he like barricaded the door so nothing could get in, of course, because he didn't want his best friend dying, you know, because that'd just be stupid. And so Rick finally woke up. Then he woke up. He got out of there. The freaking city was flooded with walkers. And then I can't, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but so he finally gets out. He gets on a horse. Oh yeah, he befriends a dude named Morgan. And throughout like the first season, after he meets up with his family, like after he reunites with what was his wife's name? Can't remember. But he reunites with his wife and Carl, which is his son. The little freaking pest he turns out to be. And like, I can't remember which one it is. I think it's the second season, maybe. Or whenever they meet Herschel, he has a silence pistol. He's like this, pointing at this one guy with a shotgun. And then the guy surrenders. He gives him his gun and everything. And Carl just freaking pew, kills the dude instantly. And Herschel's just sitting there like, freaking Carl, dude. And another thing I want to talk about is in the second season, when Shane has his head buzzed, you know, he really wants to kill Rick because he thinks that he's the better father figure for Carl, and he thinks that he's the better husband. And whenever he's got they're in the field at I think it's at Herschel's place, Herschel's farm. He's sitting there in the field like, I'm a better father than you, Rick. And I think that's what he says. I think he says, I'm better for Lori than you. And then, you know, Rick and Shane duke it out. And then in the end, Rick ends up killing Shane. by I think he stabs him in the chest or the throat or something, and then he arises. He comes back as a zombie, and Carl's the one that has to put him down. He's like, boom, and freaking Herschel's front yard too. And of course, Herschel was the one that did. He's the one that felt that zombies still had like human, like some part of the people still left in them. So that's why he kept the zombies in the barn. So he felt like they were still alive in some way. But what we didn't find out is Carol, the woman with the short head and the abusive husband. The reason she kept it short is because she didn't want the abusive husband trying to pull her hair when she ran away. But she had a daughter in the very beginning, and in the first season, she ended up getting chased away by zombies. Well, she ended up running, being a little girl. I would have ran, but I would have. If I was that age, of course. But she ended up getting lost, and they weren't able to find her until the second season, whenever Shane was freaking out in front of the barn. Whenever Rick and Herschel were bringing in a zombie with like a leash or something, they were going to put it in the barn, and then Shane wasn't having that crap. I mean, who would? That's absolutely stupid. So he wasn't having it, and he was freaking out on everybody. He said, my favorite quote from Shane, he said,
"Now if y'all want to live, if you want to survive, you got to fight for it. I'm talking about fight right here, right now."
So, at the time being, he was freaking out and telling them that they had to, if they wanted to survive, they had to fight the zombies and not try to, find a way to figure out whether or not they still had personality in them or something like that. So he had the right idea. He had the right idea for, I can understand what he means by it, but he had the right idea, but he had the wrong execution. He had the wrong way of showing it, but the right idea. You know what I mean? So at the time, Shane's beating down the barn doors to let all the walkers out, and as they're walking out, Rick tries to get Herschel to grab the leash so he could stop Shane, and Herschel was just sitting there in shock like this. And Shane was trying to explain to Herschel, saying that there is no human left in the zombies, and he said, if they're human, can they get up from this? Boom! He shoots him in the chest. He shoots the zombies in the chest, or one of them, the one that was on the leash, and the zombie was still, still acting like nothing was wrong. And then he just goes, boom, 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 3 different shots in the chest. And he said, Herschel, can a human get up from that? And then he just walks by and goes, boom, shoots the zombie right in the head. And then she goes, and falls down. So that's what Herschel's in shock from. And then Shane says, the quote, if you want to live, if you want to survive, you got to fight. And I mean fight, right here, right now. So he runs over to the barn doors. I can't remember, I think he grabs a shovel or something, and he starts beating the lock, and so he can get the door open. So, and then everybody draws their guns, ready to shoot the walkers coming out. They're like this. And then they're all coming out, and then poof, poof, headshot after headshot. And then, after they're all dead, one left. There's one walker that comes out. So they're slowly walking out, and we're looking at the ground, and we just see their legs coming out, walking out. So we're slowly, looking up, seeing who it is. The camera angle slowly going up, and we see it was Carol's daughter all along that was in Herschel's barn. And so Carol is trying to run over crying to get her baby, And then Daryl, he's like, no, you can't go. He grabs her. And I can't remember who puts her down. I think it's either Rick or Shane. But sad time. But in the end of this, I think it's season 2, episode 3 is when Shane and Rick have their battle. So they're in the field in Herschel's farm. And he's talking about, because Shane really wants to kill Rick just so he can have Lori. That was her name. Rick's wife's name is Lori. He really wants to have him and Carl to himself, because in the first season, whenever Rick was in a coma, everyone thought he was dead. Like Lori, Carl, everyone thought he was dead. Shane even thought he was dead. So after he thought he was dead, Shane started looking after the group that they gathered. They gathered together. Had an old guy named Dale, Carol, her daughter, and her abusive husband. Andrea, her sister, that got bitten. This one Mexican family, I can't remember their names, but I don't think we ever found out what happened to them, because right after their group got infested, him and his family drove off, and I don't think we ever heard from him again. Because I only watched up to the 6th season, because the rest of it got really boring. So if you guys are interested in The Walking Dead, I'm just letting y'all know everything is really interesting up to the 6th season, because that's when they meet Negan, and it just gets really boring. But back to season 2. So they're in the field duking it out, and so Shane's got his gun drawn to Rick, and then Rick gets his knife and goes. And then Rick said,
"Not me! You did this to us! This was you, not me! Not me!"
And then pulls it out. He walks away, walks over to Carl, because I think Carl saw the whole thing from a distance. So Carl, he sees Rick get up as a zombie. He's sitting there crying. Boom. Puts him down. See, I really liked Shane. Shane was my favorite. And I believe that was the only, good parts that really happened in the season. Those 2 seasons, those were what I listed, that was, what I've talked about, that was the most interesting things that happened. So if you guys want to see a part 2, maybe talking about season 3 or season 3 and season 4, like this video. And if you guys want to see me talk about something else, like my thoughts on other shows or movies or anything, comment down below and let me know what y'all want to see. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Girl, you're leaving me scarred.